what is going to be happening in the international system 5, 10, 20 years down the line. And there are a number of markets that people think are going to be the new norm for the world, and they just aren't. Places like Brazil, places like Russia, places like China, these are countries that are in their final years. The Russian market is preparing to shut itself off from the world as part of its broader strategic goals of expanding its borders. The Chinese system is disintegrating from within. And in all cases, the type of markets that we're going to be dealing with, servicing, aligning with in the future are going to be very different from they are today. But that doesn't mean it's bad. In fact, it's fantastic. The United States is the only country in the world that is economically sound, physically secure, and about to be energy independent. And it will be setting the stage for global growth, American-dominated global growth, in the way that we have never seen before in our lifetimes. That's disastrous if you're Chinese or Russian. It's fantastic if you're part of a small club of countries that the United States enjoys cultural, political, and economic links with that are relatively heartburn-free. The very top of that list is Mexico, which is going to be the fastest growing economy for the next 50 years. And we already have a free trade zone with them. We already have population integration. There are things to manage. The drug war is no small challenge. But there's nothing systemic in the relationship that is dangerous. Second, Southeast Asia. Here you've got 12 countries, including the New Zealanders, the Vietnamese, the Burmese, the Thais, the Indonesians, most of which are already U.S. allies and U.S. partners, and the rest of them trade more with the United States than they do with anyone else anyway. Here is a cluster of countries that have never gone to war with each other and are hungry for American agricultural exports. There are a few markets that are going to pop up in terms of just massive growth that I don't think Americans have really thought of. First on the list is Cuba. In a world that was based on free trade where everyone can access everything, the United States and the Cubans basically looked at each other and said, we don't want to deal with you. Those times are about over, and the Cubans realized that if they can't find a new way of working with the Americans are going to find a new government for Cuba. So we're having normalization, we're having trade talks, and within a couple of years the embargo will be gone, and Cuba's 12 million people will be buying almost exclusively American agricultural products. In Europe, the European system, euro and all, is already well past its peak. And while this isn't a very dynamic or growing market, it's a unified one, which is a fancy way of saying that if you produce apples in Poland, you have the rest of Europe as a captive market for those sales. Well, what happens when the Eurozone breaks up? All of a sudden, Poland can sell to its immediate neighbors, but not really anyone else in the European system. So the competitive disadvantage that the Europeans have posited on other producers goes away. And the Americans will be able to sell into the United Kingdom's market, the Danish market, the Spanish market, the French market, the Italian market, and all of the others on an equal footing. And in that competition, the Poles don't have a chance.